It's Kaufman is Alive YouTube channel. I look at comic books new and old. Thanks for clicking on the video. I do post daily comic book reviews, so please subscribe if you haven't already. Today I'm looking at an old comic book from 1996, DC Comics versus Marvel Comics #1, the showdown of the century, as it says. And this was a pretty seminal comic when I was growing up. One of the coolest things ever put out by these two publishers. And for the first time, we get battles between DC characters and Marvel Comics characters. There had been a few crossovers occasionally between heroes. I believe Superman and Spider-Man had a crossover at some point. But generally speaking, the companies did stay apart. And in 96, they finally were able to put their differences aside, you might say, and put together this comic book for the fans. So, a really cool thing. It was a $3.95 issue when it came out. So we get kind of the matchups here on the cover. This is a Dan Jurgens cover here. Joseph Rubinstein is on the inks. Ron Marz is the writer of this book, with some help from Peter David, and Claudio Castellini is the other artist on some of the pages on the interiors here. So we got Joseph Rubinstein and Paul Neary doing the inks on these pages. So, but here we got the cover here by Jurgens, as I was saying, and we get some nice matchups, as you know, Superman and Hulk, an obvious matchup here. Shazam and Thor, Quicksilver and the Flash, of course, Aquaman and Namor, of course, and then we start to get into some weirder matchups that we're going to end up getting, but some good ones nonetheless, like Wonder Woman versus Storm, which is a pretty unique matchup. I really like that one a lot. Spider-Man and Superboy, which is an interesting battle. Jubilee and Robin. Got Captain America and Batman, and then we're going to get Lobo versus Wolverine here. So now we don't actually get all those battles in this issue. This is a 4-part mini-series, so this whole first issue is just kind of the setup. But we start off here with this is the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, and I think this is during the point where everyone thinks this is the original Spider-Man. The Ben Reilly Spider-Man had taken over for Peter Parker, so he's kind of going by Peter Parker as his secret identity. He's like basically stolen Peter's entire life at this point, even though he is Ben Reilly. So he's just kind of swinging around New York City as Spider-Man does. And as any good comic book starts here in an alleyway, as he sees this guy sitting next to this cardboard box that's just lighting up. Obviously, he doesn't know what's going on, and then it just teleports him away. So then we see this other character who comes upon the homeless guy who's trying to contain this box somehow, whatever's happening here. And he's saying he needs this boy's help, but the boy, he doesn't want any part of it. And that's kind of the last we see of him in this issue, although in the next issue, that storyline gets picked up on. But then we get some really awesome page here of Joker. Really awesome looking Joker face here, as he comes to face with Spider-Man for the first time. He's questioning who he is. They've never, at least Spider-Man's never met Joker before. Joker has come in contact with Spider-Man from some other series. And he says, but it looks like he's changed tailors since the last time that they've tangled, so. And Joker's explaining who he is. Spider-Man's like, pretty weird to see a clown on top of a building, but Joker explains he was thinking he might blow it up or something. So, Spider-Man, he's just trying to figure out what's going on around here. He realizes Joker's pretty insane, so he's just trying to say, would someone please tell me what's going on? So then we're in Westchester here. We've got the X-Men battling Juggernaut. Suddenly Juggernaut disappears. So And he shows up here in Metropolis. Superman says he's in the wrong place. Superman versus Juggernaut. That's a pretty good fight, but I think Superman would pretty much easily win. And he takes Juggernaut down with one punch here. So we see the homeless guy again dealing with this box. We still don't know what it is, but obviously it is what's causing all of these heroes to be teleported, as now we just kind of get this multiple page montage of kind of introducing all the players in this book as they all kind of are doing their superheroes thing, but they're getting teleported away here. So got Captain America, he's battling Hydra, Wonder Woman, got the Hulk here, Superboy, Lobo, and we've got the X-Men here in Westchester trying to figure out what's going on as well, just like everybody else. So story-wise, you know, we're about halfway through the comic here. Not a whole lot has been happening or going on. We just keep seeing all the heroes being teleported and everyone just pretty much asking the same thing, like, what's going on? So Professor X, obviously, he's worried about Juggernaut because they are stepbrothers, half-brothers, so again, we just get more heroes just being teleported away here. So then we're in the Batcave, and Batman, he's trying to save Robin, who's suddenly been taken hostage by Bullseye. So we get all these little minor battles at first here, which is kind of neat. Like Superman, Juggernaut, Batman, and Bullseye. Some interesting little fights here. But they go pretty much the way you would expect. Bullseye says, you hit harder than even Daredevil. But suddenly Robin gets teleported away from this, and he goes right into Jubilee's bedroom. So I think this is the Tim Drake Robin, too, if I'm not mistaken. This is during when Jubilee was in Generation X. So we got Husk here from Generation X. And I think Robin and Jubilee kind of get romantically involved stemming from this as well, if I'm not mistaken. So then we see there's Superman. He's flying over the Baxter building here, where the Fantastic Four live. The Daily Planet building is there. And we see now J. Jonah Jameson is suddenly the editor at the Bugle. And they don't really even know what happened to Perry here, the original chief. Superman sees Steel battling the Absorbing Man here, which is another nice little minor battle. And he thinks that what happened to Perry and J. Jonah Jameson and what's going on with all these new characters showing up in their universe, he says it must all be connected. So then we see some pretty cool minor battles here. Got Green Lantern and Green Goblin, which is clever. We've got Captain America and Bane, Daredevil and the Riddler, Batman and Venom, which is one I would like to see. Punisher and Deathstroke. We got the Demon and Ghost Rider. So some pretty obvious matchups. Nothing gets really expanded on in this, though. We just get single panels of each of these fights, but it's still cool to see these characters interacting, which is what the main appeal of all this was when this book came out in 1996, because you just didn't see stuff like this. Got Superman battling Annihilus. This is awesome. So we got Peter Parker, or Ben Reilly, actually, but he's introducing himself to Clark Kent. You know, there are a couple things that are unfortunate about this. One of them probably, you know, being, in my opinion, that we've got the Ben Reilly clone Spider-Man being the Spider-Man involved in here. We've got the kind of weird-looking 90s Aquaman with the cyber arm and the hook hand. We've got Thor in this alternate costume of his that, from what I understand, this is like one of the only stories that this Hulk costume ever appeared in, where he's got like the cutoff shirt. not the best look for Thor. So, but this is the mid '90s. We've got mullet Superman, of course, as well. So, not the best looks for some of the heroes, but so then we see what's going on here on a cosmic level. As you know, DC and Marvel both are kind of well known for the cosmic entities that inhabit their shared universes. So we've got the Spectre here trying to figure out what's going on. He says even he cannot stop it. And I like how the panels are slowly going into the middle of the page here. We've got the Living Tribunal trying to figure out what's going on. He says he cannot stop it either. And then we see the reveal of kind of the two entities that are making up each universe. They kind of represent each universe here. So, and that's the end of the issue. It says to be continued in issue number 2. So, really not a whole lot to the story going on. It's just the setup. But really fun nonetheless. I definitely would recommend picking this up if you're a fan of Marvel and DC superheroes. This is certainly a classic. We get a letter here from Mark Greenwald, who was the editor at the time at Marvel Comics, and he unfortunately passed away pretty soon after this came out. And we got Mike Carlin, who was the co-editor at DC at the time. So they're each kind of writing about what this miniseries means to them. And it means a lot. And these two editors were both friends. They know each other. And Mike talks about how, you know, the creative teams at Marvel and DC are a lot closer than the readers might think. So this is something they all, you know, were all about. So then we get kind of a mock vote ad here as they're asking the fans to vote for who's going to win the major matchups here. And they kind of tell us what the major matchups are. Aquaman, Submariner, Elektra, Catwoman, Captain Marvel versus Thor. This is Shazam, Captain Marvel, by the way. This is before Marvel won all, you know, copyright rights to the name Captain Marvel. DC was still using it for the Shazam character at this point. So I got Jubilee and Robin as well, like I mentioned earlier. Flash, Quicksilver, obviously, and Silver Surfer versus Green Lantern. And then the main events are Superman versus Hulk, Captain America versus Batman, Lobo versus Wolverine, Storm versus Wonder Woman, and Superboy versus Spider-Man. So we get the lineups here and, you know, the data pages of all these characters, which is pretty cool. It's got all their first appearances, their powers, you know, all their stats. So this is a really nice addition to the back of the book here. I like this. I like the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume, though. One of my favorite Spider-Man costumes. So, and then they've actually got the coupon, the ballot that you could clip out and send in for who you want to win. And they actually did use the votes to figure out who won those fights, and they published it in issue number 3 when we found out who won all those battles. So thankfully I never did that, and I've still got my page here. So I never cut that out, and I've still got a it's not a mint copy by any means, but it's still in pretty good condition. I did buy this off the rack when it came out back in '96. So thanks again for watching. If you made it this far, appreciate it. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you guys on the next one.